Hey, salut friends, welcome back to Sensatura. Today we are having a look at Benjoin Bohème by Diptyque. This one was released in 2015 as part of their exclusive collection 34, or if you have to be fancy, La Collection 34, which obviously refers to the address of their first boutique at 34 Boulevard Saint-Germain, started 60 years ago in Paris. This was credited by the late Mr. Olivier Pescheux, perfumer at Givaudan, who passed away fairly recently. Rest in peace. He has been a recurring perfumer for Diptyque for the last 15 years or so. Additionally, he has been part of releases like Paco Rabanne 1 Million, Mont Blanc Explorer, Parfum de Marly, Hérode, etc. I do like Diptyque as a brand. Started with candles and now have an extensive collection of fragrances, all inspired by the travels of their founders. Fairly good quality, easy to wear, versatile and elegant. They all have this casuality about them, which I think is really interesting. Their aesthetics are on the right side of minimalism. Many of their frags have this smooth, powdery, fussy amber, sharp spices, and then some woody quality to them, which I think is very pleasant. They have a lot of boutiques now, but in spite of that, still seem to kind of fly under the radar. The inspiration behind this collection, 34, is to create sense for an imaginary tenant who lives at the flagship boutique of Diptyque with the olfactory signature and the ambience. Apparently, the creation of the scent was a big challenge and took multiple years. They resorted to headspace technology to map and sample scents in the actual location to find the right fit, and eventually decided to have benzoin as the central accord. In terms of presentation, this crackled glass bottle with that ambery perfume is quite nice, and I really like the way it plays with light. So how does this one smell? This one opens spicy, sharp and syrupy, does not have any citruses or any traditional top notes. Right away you get some sparkling resinous woodiness and some angelica. The angelica in here is not green or herbal, but more so musky, peppery and woody. The fragrance is a bit intentionally abrasive at this point, like a broken ceramic tile or varnish with some pine-like nuances to it. Right after that you are greeted with the central note of the fragrance being benzoin. Benzoin is a vanillic gum resin which is part of the trifecta of notes that form an amber accord, that is generally labdanum, vanilla and benzoin. Many traditional amber fragrances adjust these proportions to design their scents. You have vanilla scented fragrances which are the most common, like Spirituous Double Vanille from Guerlain, then labdanum scented fragrances like Le Lion from Chanel. Then you have benzoin focused ones which are not as many, like Grand Soir, Benjoin 19, Bois d'Harmonie, and of course Benjoin Bohème. The benzoin in here is from Laos and very much a traditional impressionistic one, presenting all the aspects without getting too vintage. It is sweet, vanillic and resinous for the first 15 minutes or so. Then when you enter the dry down, it starts to kind of expand with the warmth on your skin, becomes more woody, powdery, somewhat soapy, with some metallic and mentholated undertones in there. It is, as you would expect, very ambery, balsamic, has this radiant golden hue to it. It has this dry, billowy, fluffy, puffed up cotton vibe with some gummy marshmallow-like touches. Some hints of smokiness and booziness in there. Also has facets of styrax with the soft, spicy floral nuances. Apart from the proper benzoin, there are also nuances of other resins like myrrh and frankincense in there, but they are in the background. It has some amber and labdanum nuances too, obviously. Some Peru balsam comes in during the dry down as well, joining that benzoin and accentuates the spicy, sweet, caramelly, balsamic notes as a gradation. Some very little gourmand hints in there with those roasted, nutty, toasty, cookie dough-like qualities. Still being dry, almost like a sumptuous almond Turkish delight, coated with powdered starch. As you go through the dry down, the golden sparkling nature of the scent turns more toasty brown, I would say, mainly because of the sandalwood that comes in. I think there is some cedar in there too, but not too prominent. This is quite different from the sandalwood accord in Tam Dao. The sandalwood in here is creamy, soft, smooth and obviously woody, and helps in the juxtaposition with the sharp facets of the benzoin. Also adds to the warmer aspect of the accord rather than the cold metallic side of things. Adding to that is a bit of vanillic sweetness. Patchouli also comes through during the mid. Here it is not your traditional green earthy patchouli, but more woody, clean and musky. Later I read that this was achieved by fractionation, which is a separation process used to extract only the components which have the qualities that the perfumer wants. This smooth, woody, sweet, resinous, slightly powdery scent anchored by the benzoin is what lasts for the majority of the dry down, I would say. There is also a hefty dose of ambroxan and musks which along with the patchouli make this scent quite diffusive. In the far dry down, the scent turns more powdery, dusty, papery with that sweetness and gumminess. This scent with the musks is what remains as the scent closes out on your skin. Now the performance in this one is quite particular. When I spray this, it is actually light, not thick or dense, even if I put my arms right next to my nose. In fact, I have seen some people saying that they can't smell anything whatsoever. I think this is because they're nose blind to the big ambroxan, amberwoods and the musks in there. But then what happens with me is in 5 minutes or so, it kind of starts to expand and disperse and becomes more detectable, almost like how the benzoin would expand in a resin burner. During my first few wearings, I used to think it is gone. Then just when I enter a doorway or go through a breeze, I would get hit by this big warm cloud of benzoin. Nevertheless, it maintains this lingering moderate projection throughout the wearing. It kind of hovers over your skin and does not weigh you down like some other heavy amber orientals. It lasts for about 7 to 8 hours on me. The powdery musky skin scent remains for a long time even after that, sometimes even next day, especially on my clothes. Quite unisex for me, best suited for casual or semi-formal occasions during fall and winter seasons, I think. Now, what do I think about this? I enjoy it quite a bit. I like the way the benzoin accord is blended in here and balanced with the other notes. It is warm, comforting, elegant with a classy touch, not too stuffy or dense, just this fuzzy, enveloping haze of a scent. I like how it tries to create more of an aura without being just another perfume. Definitely fits this bohemian theme. This ambience around someone who is artistic, wearing a sweater, some guitar music, a room with wooden floors, walls with patterns, organic decoration, some plant pots, trinkets and so on. I can picture someone with sharp features wearing this one in contrast to the amorphous nature of the scent itself. None of this is me in real life, of course, but in the fantasy in my head, when I wear this scent, I am that character. That's one of the joys of wearing fragrances, I think. Outside the bohemian theme, it reminds me of a lot of other things because of the way it blends with my skin. Old varnished furnitures, for instance, the smell of rosin that I used to like when rubbing it on my violin bow. Then also of places like an yoga studio, spa or an aroma shop, cultural venues like a temple, monastery or a church even. In fact, if you wear this in some Asian countries, it might not even come across like you're wearing a fragrance. People might just assume that you have been to a temple ceremony or something like that because of how it has blended with your skin, which I find fascinating. It is something that you can wear to an opera or you can just sit and analyze it for hours. But what makes this a standout for me is that you could easily wear this and run down to a grocery store or when watching TV and still be able to enjoy it, which is a quality that I really appreciate. It is also fairly unique as there are not a lot of benzoin scented fragrances. One thing to note is that they are going to completely discontinue this presentation and have already put it in their typical 75 ml bottles with a gold label for a jacked up price, which is not great. Hope the scent remains the same. So, there you go. Benjoin Bohème, easily one of my favorite amber fragrances, definitely my reference benzoin, and probably my favorite diptyque and my favorite Olivier Pescheux creation. As always, thanks for watching. Till I see you with another video, take care and ciao.
Un parfum, il est jamais fini en fait. Si tu continues à bosser, tu bosses dessus pour le début.